I'm just like so sensitive to everything that I feel like it would like actually turn me into a mermaid, and then I wouldn't be able to go back.
What's up, Layla?
Hi, Brian.
Happy podcast day.
Happy podcast day.
I'm excited to do a one-on-one podcast with you again.
I know. I love these. It's because like this is the shit we talk about like all the time, and we're always like, "Fuck, we should be recording."
Yeah, it's a one-on-one conversation that we have all the time. And the first thing on my mind actually was that we were watching the same show on Netflix. We didn't know this. It's called Monsters.
Fucking crazy.
It's about the Menendez brothers. So if you haven't watched this, people on Netflix, it is worth a watch. And because we live in LA, we do know some people that are on the show, which is pretty cool.
I know that's so
It's
fun.
cool to see them in their acting mode. That's awesome.
So
not
fun.
saying these people are swingers at all, just that we know some people on the show. So we're not outing anybody here. But man, the show is polarizing. How many episodes are you in, Layla, right now?
I think I stopped at episode 5. Yes. Yes,
Okay.
I know. I have a lot of thoughts on episode 5. It's such a heavy show, and I've been going through just like some heavy shit per usual. And I was like finding myself having a hard time relaxing at night because I'm having like a really stressful day. And then I'm watching these episodes and I'm like having a really stressful night.
Yeah.
So I've been going back and forth between Monsters and Love is Blind. So that's
Perfect.
what I've been doing. Yeah.
Perfect. Like, really heavy, very light.
Yes.
But Love is Blind is the one where they actually fall in love and like they're supposed to get married in it, right?
Have you never watched it?
I watched Love is Blind, the UK version. Yes, I did. I watched an episode or two with my wife.
Okay. I have a lot to talk about with Love is Blind. I know you haven't watched it, but there's this fucking guy that's been manipulating these two girls in this little love triangle. And it is so fucking gross and so toxic. And my husband and I were watching it and we're just like, this shouldn't even, like, how are the producers even allowing this type of abuse? But that's neither here nor there.
Do you think all these shows are polyamorous at their core?
Yeah, well, yeah, it kind of is. Like, people shit on polyamory, but then they let these shows slide by with it. They're like, how can I love more than one person? This is so weird. I didn't know I could do this. And I hear that 100 billion times a year.
Right, but with The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, by the last couple of episodes, aren't they dating like 3 or 4 people and they're in love with all of them? They can't figure out who to choose.
Yeah.
Okay. So kind of spoiler alert, everyone. There might be some spoilers in these because we're going to mention some shows and things like that. But could there be, if you were at the end of the season of Love is Blind or I don't know how Love is Blind works, or I don't know, The Bachelor, and he wanted to choose 2, he wanted to pick 2, could he? Would that be against the rules?
Should they do a polyamorous Bachelor?
They should. Yeah. I think they absolutely should. Like, what if they were all in love with each other? They couldn't just stay together?
I mean, that would be the best case scenario. I don't know. That's just me. I think
that's already what's happening, people.
I know. And then they feel guilty, right? They're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like,
Or that show Too Hot to Handle. It's the same thing.
Oh God. That's like, yeah, such a trashy show. I love trashy TV so much.
It's
but
trashy,
yeah, it's all like that. They're all like, who do I pick? Who do I choose?
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. So back to the Menendez brothers, though.
Yeah.
So so first of all, do you think they killed their parents?
Yeah, I mean, they did. I think that they 100% did. But at this rate, I mean, I've only seen 5 episodes, but I'm kind of like, they should have.
That's exactly what I wanted to talk about. All right. So you think they should have killed their parents? You believe that they were being abused?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I think so. Again, I don't know enough about it to see like, you know, all the real evidence or whatever. But from what I've seen on TV, which I've also seen articles where the Menendez brothers' families are like, that's not what happened. You know, like this was not correct. But if I was just going off of what I've seen on the show, should they have killed their parents? No, they should have distanced themselves from their parents. But then again, it's hard because they've been like, their whole family dynamic was so insanely codependent, and there was so much trauma, and there was like they sought out validation so aggressively. So is it as easy as like walk away and like report them to the police or whatever? Like, no, it's never going to be that easy. So do I think that they should have killed them? No. Do I understand why they did? 100%.
You don't think that killing was an escalation?
What do you mean?
Okay. Like, what is the, this is a debate I had with my wife. Okay. Like, let's say
Mm,
someone is assaulting you in that case. Like, they were being molested by their parents or whatever. In the story, that's what they say. So, again, spoiler alert, people, like, they're being molested by their parents.
mm,
Um, they killed them.
mm-hmm.
There were a bunch of steps in between that. There was like, you could have gone to the police, you could have left the house, right? There's a bunch of other things that I'm not sure that they tried,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm really curious about. Like, it seems like going from you're touching me to I'm gonna kill you, it feels like
Mm-hmm.
an escalation. Do you not agree with that?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's definitely escalated, but I don't think it was until both of the brothers sat down and were like, this is happening to me. And they were like, holy shit, like that's happening to me too. Until like their anger, it became from almost being normalized and maybe uncomfortable to being like, holy fuck, you're doing this to somebody that I love. Like that's next level. That's different,
Yeah.
So I also think that they're a little crazy, right? And anybody that's kind of like, crazy is the wrong word, they're so traumatized that their sweet little brains when they were younger, like when trauma happens when you're that young, like it really fucks you up forever, right? So I have a soft spot in my heart for them, which is people can argue with me all day long. Like I feel gross, I think, for being like, yeah, fucking take that, mom and dad. So like I don't know. Am I fucked up?
That's exactly why I wanted to talk about this. I think there's something about these kids that they're not kids now. They're older than us, but they
Yeah.
were younger back then, that played on the hearts of women.
Hmm.
And I think your emotional response right now is the same emotional response that women in the 90s had about them.
Hmm.
That you felt bad for them, like, oh my God, they were the victims. My wife's the same way. At the end of the show, my wife was like, oh man, poor guy. And I'm like, fuck that guy, dude. What are you talking about? They
That's
murdered
so
their parents.
funny.
They shot them with shotguns like 10 times. Like, it wasn't even like, I'm gonna shoot you one time and to get away. It was like
Yeah.
a hardcore, just like blow off your kneecaps type murder. And so from
Ugh,
that standpoint, look at you, you're cringing right now. So
I
like, what
know.
level of victim? It's not like they were coming at you trying to kill you. It's like they didn't keep you in a cage, and torture you. This wasn't Man in the Iron Mask or some weird thing like that,
They
right?
did oh, you're saying they didn't torture their parents, or the parents didn't torture the kids?
What I'm trying to get at is that in the show there was this thing that kind of came, like the underlying theme was like men didn't believe these
Yeah.
kids. Like, generally, women felt bad for them, and men,
Mm.
for the most part, were like, "Fuck these kids."
Well, do you
And
think it's because men are naturally a little bit like, I don't know. Okay, this sounds so fucked up, which probably leads into some other stuff we're talking about later. But do you think it's because men are a little bit more, they are a little bit more logical, and they can be a little bit more like, not that women aren't manipulative, but like they can kind of, they're watching these guys and they're like, I know what the fuck you're doing. And then the women that are watching it are naturally more empathetic. And so they're like, oh, poor babies.
yeah, no,
No.
no.
So I have to be like, yes.
I'm gonna stop. No, I don't think it's. I think that there is a being a man being a man is like being in a cult, right?
Mm,
And there's all these definitions put on us about manhood from the time we were little boys, right? Like, you
mm,
got to be tough, right? You got to fight, right? Like, and we're always struggling between like, how do I be tough enough to be tough around the men, but then and be strong enough that women want me, but then soft enough so that when I get the women, I can like keep them and be kind,
mm.
right? And so I think that like modern manhood is a very challenging thing, and I think work and stuff makes it a lot harder. But I do think part of that is like, yo, if you get hit on the football field, get back up, right? If you go online and you watch motorcyclists get hit by cars, they always try to stand up real fast, and the guys will be like, "I'm fine, I'm good." There's this culture of like, "I'm fine. Yeah, I know I got hit by a train, but I'm good. Don't trip." Right? This embarrassment of like that shit didn't really hurt. You hit me, that didn't hurt, right? And so I think there's a bunch of men who watch this and we're like, okay, great. Your parents were mean. Your dad was an asshole. Join the club. My dad was an asshole too. My dad was abusive too.
Mm,
My dad beat me too, but I didn't kill him. I didn't take a
yeah.
shotgun to his head 3 times. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
I
but
can.
also, I mean, like, was your dad and mom like touching you and like fucking you? No, that's gonna psychologically fuck you up. I think 10 billion times worse than your dad like giving you a spanking or beating you or whatever. Like to add a sexual component to it is a completely different level.
So what I think, and I don't know this, and I'm gonna ask. I don't know your history, so I don't know if you've ever been assaulted or anything like that. But like, did women see these guys who allegedly were sexually assaulted by their parents? We don't really know. They said
Mm.
that, right? Um, take their parents out, and did you identify with like, because I wish I could kill the guy who did that to me or who
Mm.
did that to my friend? Or I like, you know what I'm saying? I was curious if there was a part, because most guys are like, man, shit in life happens. Who cares? Suck it up. And I
Mm.
wonder if what they were really pulling at was like, one, they could women might feel like, hey, these could be my sons, right? They're so cute and adorable, right?
Hmm.
But the other, is there an underlying thing in there of like, man, I'd want to take my offender out too, and they just had the balls to do it.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of women, I don't know the statistics, but a lot of women have been assaulted. I think a lot of children are assaulted. I think it was like 1 in 9 kids are sexually molested or assaulted. Um, I I will do a fact check on that. We'll put it in the notes because I don't
Oh,
want to
I
be
bet
wrong
it's
here.
higher. I've been reading a book about this, and I read the stat. This book was from the '90s though, so it might have gone up or down, but it was like 3 out of 4 women.
Okay, so 3 out of 4. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And like, like I definitely have been assaulted. And yeah, I mean, I have wished death on those guys. I mean, it was a lot of guys at once, and I wished death upon all of them. And some of them went to prison for 10 years. And I was glad that they went to prison. I think they got out too soon. But maybe a part of me is like that. I think I worked in mental health, and I did a lot of work with children the last couple years, and so I've heard some pretty awful stories. And then if I were to have found out later that they fucking killed their parents, a part of me would have been like, good, I'm glad. I don't
Is
know.
that is that wrong to?
I think there are some people on this earth that shouldn't fucking be alive. I
This
know.
is
Brian
so
hates me right now. We're
interesting.
so we're so different.
Nah, man. I could look. No, it's not. Capital punishment is an interesting subject, and this has nothing to do with non-monogamy at all. But
No, none of this has so
it,
far, but that's fine.
but because we have opinions about a lot of things, and like there was sexual stuff going on here, but oh man.
Yeah, not in
So
a
you're
yeah.
not at that point of the show yet where they have the debate about whether to do capital punishment or not.
No, no,
So
no, no.
I will hold this to talk
Okay.
to you about it then.
Okay. The last
But
thing
there,
I want to end on with the Menendez brothers, because I know we could talk about this all day, but I don't want to bore everybody else. Uh, okay. Episode 5 was,
mhm,
have we talked about this? It was,
no.
did you realize this? All one shot. That entire episode was 33 minutes and they got it in one shot.
I didn't realize that. I don't know the actors' names in this, but I think they did a phenomenal job, spot on of the characters. I didn't realize there was one shot. That's not the scene I thought you were going to talk about. There was one scene in it where I thought it might have been a play party
Wait,
or an orgy about to happen. They were partying at their parents' house. It was after their parents died. They were doing this like cocaine fueled dance
mm,
party, and the brothers started like they were touching a girl, and then
yes.
and then the boy came over, and they were touching each other in a weird way, and the girls were looking over like that's kind of weird, like to be dancing with your brother like that.
Yeah,
Remember
I
that?
remember that. I do remember that. That was very interesting. Well, again, like they're so psychologically messed up that like
Uh huh.
it's the only person that's actually been like shown them true love. you know? And like, oh my God, I could go on and on. But episode 5 was cinematic fucking masterpiece. You should watch it again. I stopped it
Okay.
at 3 minutes and Googled, is this all fucking one shot? And it was 33 minutes, one take, one shot.
Okay.
Unbelievable.
All
Unbelievable.
right. I'll watch it again.
Okay.
I will watch it for you. I'll watch it again. You know, one person, somebody asked me this one time, is like, yo, is there anyone in your life where, because these guys were like so for each other, they killed their parents, hit the guns, whatever. Is there anyone in your life who, if they showed up at your house and they said, Layla, I just killed somebody, I need you to help me hide the body, where no questions asked, you would help?
They're going to use this as evidence. Um,
Hopefully, this person's such a good-hearted person, you don't think they would ever kill someone.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm going to say no. Absolutely not. Under no conditions would I ever do that. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. If it was like someone really like a family member that I'm really, really close with, you know what? I think it depends on why. Like if this person hurt me, hurt someone in my family, yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
So
That's
obviously,
a
there's
hard.
some questions there.
I don't know. What would you do? Because I'm like, fuck, would I? I don't know.
It really depends. I have some friends where I would be like, get the hell out of here. No, I could see this coming a mile away.
What if it was
I
me?
wouldn't
I
say
came
those
to
are
your
friends.
door and I was like, this person did this, this, and this to me. Think of the worst possible things you could think of. Or like my family, right? Did this, this, and this to me. It's the perfect crime. It's the perfect murder. Everything's set up. All I need for you to do is ABC. Easy breezy. No one will ever know.
No,
Okay.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. And this is crazy because this is in the show. They were trying to get people to lie for them. And so this does come up constantly in the show. Like, are you willing? Are you willing to lie for someone? Because let's just not even say it's murder. Are you willing to lie for someone who committed a crime, knowing that if it gets found out, you will be an accomplice, basically, or maybe not an accomplice, but you're aiding and abetting.
Okay.
And
I think no, simply because I do have a family, right? I would say no because if I'm in jail or prison and I can't be with my family, what was the point, right? But if
mhm.
it was someone that like hurt someone in my immediate family, I feel like you'd feel different if you had kids
Why do you say that?
because there's some kind of like bond and love that can make parents do crazy things in order to protect their kids.
Okay, okay. If one of your kids did something to somebody and came to you and they
Oh
said,
my
Mom, I need
God, Brian.
exactly. See, and that is what the Menendez brothers tapped into with moms. That is what I believe happened right there. Right there. Like they made people feel like they were their kids. And if they were my kids, I'd want to protect them. See, and this is what is so wonderful about the show is that murder happened like 25 years ago or something like that. And
Mm,
the emotions are fresh.
mm,
It's like causing debate right now. And
mhm.
if my wife and I were on the jury together, we would have voted different ways.
Oh my God. Probably. Yeah.
It
No, it
is,
is
it is,
interesting.
it is wild. Like I get it. I get what they went through. I think that sucks, but I don't have any empathy for them. But like I said, okay, so in the show, there was one scene that kind of seemed like it was a little play party-ish, and it sparked this conversation between you and I about
Mm.
the difference between an orgy and a play party. Because I think that
Yes.
sometimes listeners think that the parties we're talking about are just like, I don't know,
Big
like a
orgies,
brothel
just like
sex
bodies on
fest.
bodies.
And we felt like it might make sense to define what we're talking about for all the listeners who don't know the difference between an orgy and a play party. So, Layla, I'll start with you. What would you say the difference between an orgy and a play party is?
Before I answer that, can I go to the bathroom?
No,
I have to pee. I'm gonna pee my pants.
no.
Yes,
You're
I'll
a
be right back.
sub and you sit there and you take it. By the way, people, I got to wear a cowboy hat this weekend. This is random. I got to wear a cowboy hat and I debated hopping on the show today with that cowboy hat.
What the
Um,
hell is happening?
I didn't do it. I'm talking to the audience, Layla.
Oh my God!
You're
For my
missing
bathroom
out.
break.
You'll listen to it yourself, you know.
I
So
just
so
put
I
my
thought
headphones
about it.
on.
If y'all want to see that, just let me know in the comments. I'll wear it next time. It was a vest too. So if you want me to do an episode in a leather vest and a cowboy hat, let us know. I'll do it for you.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
I'll do a live in studio session, cowboy hat, leather vest, shirtless. Okay.
Okay. The difference between a play party and an orgy. I feel like an orgy is like bodies on bodies on bodies, right? Let's say it's like one room, multiple mattresses, and everybody's naked and everyone's getting it on. There's like bodies touching you while you're fucking someone else. Like it's just kind of like a little bit more of a free for all in a sense. Like, I mean, there's still consent involved, but I feel like the party that I went to a couple weekends ago was kind of more of an orgy. And then the party you went to last weekend was more of a play party. So play parties are a little bit more maybe relaxed. Maybe half the people are playing, half the people are just kind of like walking around and talking and socializing. Um, and it's, I don't know, it's just like a little bit more relaxed. We go to way more play parties than orgies. And if we do go to an orgy, it's because we thought it was a play party, but it turned out to be an orgy.
Is that what happened 2 weeks ago?
Um, I mean, I kind of had an idea that it was going to be more like an orgy because I've been to their parties before. So yeah, I kind of knew, but I didn't really participate. I like played in the coat room a little bit, but that was it.
How would you tell? Like, let's say you didn't know going into it whether it
Mm.
was a play party or an orgy. How would you? How quickly do you think you would know? What would be the first signal that you were in an orgy, not a play party?
If it was everyone's playing in one room.
Okay,
If
okay. So if
everyone's
there's
playing in
one room,
one centralized area, there's not other rooms open to play, I'd go, "Oh, fuck, this is an orgy."
interesting,
Mhm.
interesting.
What about you?
Okay. Okay, so yeah, I think similarly. I think an orgy feels more like a free for all.
Mhm.
Everyone's touching everybody. It's more free. So there are free use parties, and I want like it's different. So a free use party is a default yes, unless someone says otherwise. And
Mhm.
so that's a party where everyone's given consent going in, and you can go play with anybody however you want to, unless they say stop. Right?
Have
Versus
you been to
most
one
play
of those?
parties. I've never been to a free use party.
Me neither. I'd hate that.
So, okay, you would hate it, but if you did a couple swap with, say, me and my wife, would it essentially be a free use kind of situation?
Oh, I understand. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
Okay.
okay, yes.
I think so. I think free use can work when there's 10 people who know each other, or 8 people who know each other. I would say I went to a party a month ago that was somewhat free use.
Mm.
There were 4 couples and it was just do whatever you want. So that was more like an orgy. And I knew that going in. It was like a
Mm.
hotel room, someone's birthday, there are only so many people in the room. You're going to play with them, right?
Okay, that makes sense. Like yeah, I would do like an orgy if it was like a smaller event, like, like, 4 couples or something like that. But if it's a party of like, 60 people, I don't want it.
No, no, exactly. And I think what happens is that people who are kind of turned off to the space, if you look at porn, you don't see play parties, you see
No.
orgies.
Right.
You see orgies and you start to think that's what it is. And that
Mhm.
might feel kind of scary or overwhelming. And then you don't want to go.
Right.
I don't think there are no play parties on Pornhub. The closest thing I would say there is to a play party on Pornhub is there's this group. Oh man, I'm going to age myself. Back in my day when I was in college, there was this group called Reality Kings. They're based in Miami, and they would do this series called In the VIP.
Mhm.
In the VIP, and they would just get a party bus with a bunch of girls and a few guys, and they would go to like the VIP section of some club, and they would party it up in this nightclub together. And at some point, they would start playing with some of the girls, and then there would be like a sex scene, but you never knew who they were going to have sex with, right?
Oh.
That is way closer to a play party
Oh, I
than
see.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Be- because a play party tends to have like an area where you can drink and like hang out and chill. There's sometimes a DJ at these play parties. Like the one
Mhm.
I went to one the other day on Saturday, and there was a DJ the whole night playing.
Yeah.
Right, so this DJ, there's a dance floor, there's a break area. People have their clothes on
Mhm.
for quite some time. Right, orgies, the clothes come off really fast.
Yeah.
I mean, we've
Like
been to
we
parties where you get to the door and they're like, take your clothes off.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah. Yep. You have your little area. They give you a ticket, your number this. If you want to get your stuff back, like hand the coat person your ticket. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Whereas
Hmm.
play parties are like going to a lounge. There just happens to be some rooms where you can go have some fun.
Right.
Play parties are like a night out. I think I would compare it to, hey, do you want to go to the nightclub? You want to go to a play party?
Yeah. How was the party on
Uh-huh.
Saturday?
It was great.
Oh,
It
I'm
was
so
great. It was our first big party back in a while.
yeah.
And it was for some friends of ours' birthdays. So it's like three friends that you and I have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say names. I didn't sign an
Mm-mm.
NDA at this party, so
You
I'm not going to
did?
say names. I did not. I did
Oh, okay, got
not.
it, got it, got it.
But I never say
Yeah,
names
yeah,
anyway.
don't say names. It doesn't matter, but
So it was their birthday. It was a blast. The We got to play with one of the birthday girls first. So shout out to my wife for making that happen. All right.
aw.
Biggest difference about this party. My wife and I had a really great like boundary talk going in. Um, and held to that, and we just kind of kept checking in throughout the night. So that was really, really helpful.
Wait,
And I'm
what were
glad
your
she.
boundaries or agreements?
So we looked at the list of people that we knew were going, and so we had kind of already noted where like the problem spots were going to be.
Mm.
And so we set clear boundaries around that. We said, hey, let's just, instead of setting clear rules around this, let's just make sure to check in. Outside of these pure red flags, let's check in about stuff. And then I asked her, requested that she pull me in sometimes to things,
Mm.
because I feel like she goes off and like doesn't always feel like, hey, Brian, do you want to join this situation?
Right.
And so that was really helpful. The other thing that was helpful, and I don't know if I can talk about this on a podcast, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to talk about it. I tried Trimix for the first time.
So I texted Brian. I was like, "How was the party?" And he was like, "My dick was so hard." And that's like all he said. I was like, "What? What?" Okay, so you did Trimix.
It was like painfully hard. So first, I don't know if everyone knows what Trimix is, because I've been some guys don't even know what it is. So Layla, what do you think it is?
Okay, so what I understand, oh my God, because it sounds so much, like, sounds so fucking aggressive, but like a lot of people do it and it's not that big of a deal, honestly. So it's some kind of medicine that you inject into your penis, like into like is it the muscle or the vein?
I think it's the muscle.
Yeah, okay, you're right. It is. It is the muscle, and it makes your dick like really hard all night, right?
All night.
All night.
All night. So it exactly. I looked it up afterwards. I'd looked up some paper before, but later it's like, what did I put in myself last night? Let me try to understand so it's three different FDA approved drugs, but then you have to go to a what do you call it? Like, what do you call those pharmaceutical places that just mix stuff together? You can't just go to a CVS and get it. You have to go to a compounder. And
Oh,
so
okay.
they'll take these three separately approved drugs, put them together into one vial, and then you inject
Mhm.
it. Man, it is stiff as a brick, and it stays that way. So I want to say from 10 p.m. till 3 in the morning, that's just how it was. So even if I was just walking around having a conversation with people,
Mhm.
that's just what it was.
Mhm.
Okay. So the pros of it, I'll say the pros. The pros
Okay.
was I was
Yep.
always ready to go. Women seemed pretty much obsessed with it. They like, if you
Mhm.
came over with like a massive erection, they were like, I want that.
Yep.
Right. I want to use that. So that was pretty cool. I ended up having three girls at once at one point
So
because of
hot.
this. I
Yes.
wouldn't say it's just the try. I'm sure it's my personality also, right? Like my smile, but I don't think the manufactured erection, hurt.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I want to say those were the pros. And okay, the biggest thing though is like I didn't have to think about anything else. I think sometimes at parties I worry about like if I have too much to drink, it impacts it. If I do
Mhm.
some sort of substance, it impacts it. If I'm really stressed out about work,
Mhm.
or something, I see something happen in the party and it takes me out mentally, it impacts my erection. I didn't have to worry about any of that stuff. Like legitimately, I think the house could have caught on fire and I still would have been like medically, I still would have been,
I mean,
erect.
house fires do turn you on, but yeah.
You as a firewoman, if you came in to save me, yeah, I would set myself on fire. But okay, so those are the pros. The negatives were like, it was so hard that it hurt. Actually, it
Oh.
so you take Sudafed to kind of like counteract the pain a little bit. And the person who gave it to me warned me about that. And he told me to take some. And me being the tough guy, like suck it up. Like that's the theme
Mhm.
of this episode. Suck it up, guys.
Mhm.
I'm like, no, I don't eat that shit. And after an hour, I was like, I had to interrupt him mid play, and I was like, dude, where's the Sudafed? Like, I need a little something. And what was hurting was if I wasn't actively playing with someone, then it was hard for no reason, and that it's like the energy needed to go somewhere.
Mm.
The part that hurt was that, or if like even if a penis is erect, it has some bend to it, some give to it, right?
Mhm.
So if you're riding it and you want to grind on it, it conforms.
Oh.
If you rode me, Layla, and you tried to grind on me, there was no give.
Ugh.
It was just like flagpole.
Oh.
So so when someone would try to maneuver or grind, like if they went straight up and down or straight in and out, it was fine. The minute
Mhm.
someone tried to apply a curve to it, it hurt. It
Did
would
you
be a
tell
little
them? Were you like,
painful.
sorry, you can't do that?
No, because I'm an unhealthy masculine male and I just
Ah, you
sucked it
sucked it
up.
up.
I just sucked it
Okay.
up.
Okay. Okay.
I sucked it up and I didn't want people to know I was on it. Like, but of course my wife was like telling everybody, it's like, it's so hard. Yeah, he took a shot. At some point I was like, shut up, dude. Stop telling anybody that I did this.
Gosh.
Okay, so I would not I would never do it in like a one-on-one. I wouldn't do it even as in a couple swap.
Mhm.
I think I might do it again at a play party. I would just take the Sudafed earlier, maybe take a little less. I
I
don't
was
think I
gonna
needed
say,
as
can't
much
you
as he
take?
gave me.
Because you can take less, right?
Yeah, I have no idea. I didn't even do it. I didn't even do it myself. He like grabbed my dick for me and put it in.
Oh, that's so nice.
Very intimate. It's like
That's
in a
really sweet.
closet.
Oh my gosh, you guys. Oh, how sweet. In a closet? I'm sorry.
It was like a pantry. It was a pantry.
Why is that even weirder? You're like, oh, these Oreos are really fucking doing it for me.
But it was quite the experience. I was like, man, I get why people do this, because then from that point, you can do whatever you want and have a good time and not worry about any of the, anxiety.
What percentage of men do you think are taking something at parties?
Okay. I think that 70% are taking something. I would say, so at this party, let's say there were 50 guys there. I would say 10 of them probably did Trimix. Another 25 or so took a pill.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest were just like letting Jesus take the wheel.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and yeah, and they'll probably take something next time because they're like, oh gosh, like
And I will say that the more experienced the guy is in the space, the more likely they are to take a substance to support.
On that note, do you think that some men will become addicted to taking something at parties where it gets to a point where like they can't perform unless they take something? Because that would be my fear if I had a penis.
Wait, what exactly okay, so let's unpack that for a second. What would your fear be?
Well, my fear would be that if I'm relying on some kind of medication to keep me aroused, that I would be terrified to even go into a situation where like I don't know, like where that wouldn't happen. Or if I'm not able to get it hard right away, I'm like, I got to take something, like I feel like, because I've talked to some men where it can kind of mess them up a little bit psychologically. Like they feel like they have to. I don't know. Do you feel like do you always take something or not always?
I always take something now.
What would happen if you didn't?
In a one-on-one or in like a couple swap, I wouldn't take something.
Mm-hmm.
But if I did not take something, I feel like I would just be a little, I'm easily distractible and there's a lot going on. So any support, I'm just going to take it.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. Here's what I'll say. We're not the only ones that are taking stuff. I think that women can take more stuff than us and it not impact your performance.
What do you mean?
Right?
What do you mean? Take more
Okay.
stuff?
I don't know if we can talk about substances on this show like by name, but you take
you're saying if we were to take substances, it doesn't really affect our performance of just
you take a Molly and you're like, oh, this is great because now I'm rolling, I'm in my heart and I'm in my feelings and I get to have this sexual experience and it feels great because I'm on Molly. If I go take a Molly or I take too much or if I don't do coke, but like if I took too much coke, now I can't get hard. If I do too much Molly, now I can't get hard.
Mm-hmm.
And so the same thing, like you're taking something to enhance that I can't take. And so for me, on the flip side, to take something that enhances and allows me to have fun,
Mm-hmm.
why wouldn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Initially, I was turned off to it, and I was like, I'll never do a shot.
I
But
know, I remember.
we always tell people at the end of these episodes, like, try something or try someone new. And we say that, and it might just sound like a line that we say. And I don't know if they understand that we actually live by that
Mm-hmm.
principle. And
Yeah.
so knocking something until you try it has never really been my mindset. But I realized like I was knocking this and I hadn't given it a shot.
A
I was
shot.
knocking it and I was judged. I know, no pun intended.
You like it.
I was knocking it and wasn't giving it a shot, and I was judging people for doing it.
Mm.
Because I
Okay.
was like, they're cheating.
No, I get that. But now you see the appeal. Now you understand,
Uh-huh.
and maybe you'll try it again or maybe not, or try less. Like you can kind of find your like what works for you. Like if there was a pill or something that I could take that would like make me really like wet, because sometimes I'll just kind of, I mean, I'm pretty much always sober at parties, but like like I feel like if I smoke weed, I feel like really dry, like in my mouth and my vagina, kind of like everything will feel a little dry. Um, and even usually I don't smoke until like the very end of the party when I'm like relaxing, but sometimes I'll do it beforehand and I'm like, fuck, I feel like a little dry. So I try to bring lube so that helps. But like if there was like an easy breezy pill that had no side effects that just like made me really wet, I would take it. I'm
Yeah.
so fucking glad that like I don't have to worry about like a boner or like looking aroused. Like I'm so fucking glad about that. Because sometimes I'm having sex at parties and I'm not even like turned on. I just like having sex with my friends because I think it's fun,
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I wouldn't have a boner. I would just be like, I want to have fun, but like I'm not like, oh, I'm so turned on. Like that would suck.
Right.
That would fucking suck.
Uh-huh. Exactly. So I think there should be something that enhances your
I,
arousal.
I think so too.
There should be. And
Yeah.
I absolutely think you would take it. So
Yeah. Who do we gotta
yeah.
call? We know some powerful people. Who can we call?
I do. And he's been working. So I do have a friend who's been working on something. I'm waiting for him to send it to
Oh,
me.
I
He's
remember.
calling it Mermaid.
I was gonna
He,
say it's called Mermaid, right?
he's calling it Mermaid. I've seen the packaging for it. He said first batch that they produce that's like ready for shelves. He's going to send us some samples so we can try it. All right. So,
That'd be
but
fun.
we're guinea pigs. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not taking it though. I don't think it's for me.
I
It's
probably
for
wouldn't
you.
be I wouldn't be a guinea pig for it. But the second they have like enough studies to show,
You want like 1,000 people to take it before you, right?
yeah. I'm just like so sensitive to everything that I feel like it would like actually turn me into a mermaid, and then I
Okay.
wouldn't be
Well,
able to go back.
and then my legs won't open. All
Right.
right. So the last thing I want to talk about today, and we've talked about this before, is it's single guys again. All right. So we're gonna talk
Mm.
about single guys. Why'd you just make
I
that
don't
sound?
know. I feel bad because there's good single guys in this space, but it's just I feel like there's more not good single guys in this space than there are good guys. Would you disagree?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
Just in the world, I mean, a lot of this show we've been talking about unhealthy masculinity,
Mm,
and that of course ends up showing up in the play party space. So I don't think it's a play party problem. I think it's a societal issue showing
I would
up
agree
in
on
the
that
play
too.
space, showing
Mhm.
up in the dating space, right? Which we're all responsible for, by the way. I think sometimes it's not just men creating that. It's like every time a mom saw their son fall and was like, "Get up, don't cry, boys don't cry." Like you also help create this. So
Oh my god. Yeah.
it's not just men. And it's like, oh, it's like unhealthy. It's like Joe Rogan doing this. Like Joe Rogan is successful because it was already inside the brains of all those boys.
Mm,
All
yeah.
right. So I'm not trying to go at Joe Rogan right now. I'd love to be on Joe Rogan's show,
Can you imagine?
but let's
Ugh.
be real here. So, okay. So then these guys show up at the parties.
Mm,
Oh man, what I want to say about this. We can cut this. We can
okay.
cut this if we decide we want to cut it.
Mhm.
But something happened at the party this weekend where, oh God, if I talk about this, there's no way I can talk about this without getting back to me.
Well,
So
okay. Well, yeah, try your best. And then if we cut it, we cut it. Or if it doesn't work out, I'll give you some suggestions on like how we can try to tell it differently.
So there's a consent talk this weekend,
Hmm.
and at one point, the person gave the consent talk, which was awesome. He said something like, if you're going to don't assume that because you brought someone to the party, if they're playing with someone else, you can automatically hop in, right?
Hmm.
So let's say you and I are playing at a party and your husband pops up. It's not saying, like, obviously with you and I, if your husband hopped in, it'd be like automatic for you and I.
Right.
But he was saying, don't assume that just because you're his wife, that he can just like hop in immediately and turn it into a threesome without checking in with me first to make sure I'm comfortable with that.
Got it.
Right.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. It's just like, okay, communicate it.
Yeah. And that's also, I'm really proud of whoever like talked about that because I feel like we have consent talks, but that's a really good point.
It is a good point, right? Because I think even if, like, let's say I'm playing with a woman and my wife comes in and she wants to hop in on it, that woman might not be bisexual. She might not be into women.
Right.
Right. And so I think there should be like an ask. Okay. Now, my wife, however, does not need permission to talk to me or to come
Hmm.
say something to me. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. It's like if I'm playing with you, your husband should be able to come up, and if he needs to say something to you, he should just go ahead and do it.
Right.
Right. You're his
Yeah.
partner. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, I know we had an entire episode about my husband playing with someone else, and you
Uh
and
huh.
Annie and everyone was like, you should have just talked to him and pulled him to the side. Like that. Absolutely.
So at one point, after the person giving the consent talk said that, someone, it was a single guy who didn't bring a date to the party. He says
Hmm.
something like, "I just want to say that I have something to add. If it's me and I'm playing with someone, don't interrupt me because it takes me out of my experience. So don't say anything." And then there's kind of this pause, and then it moved on. And the person in the consent talk was like, "All right, that applies to you. Okay, cool."
Wait, hold on. So no one else was speaking up. It was just one of the hosts that were like, this is the consent, and everyone's listening. It's just, the teacher's talking, you know what I mean? And then out of nowhere, this guy is like, oh, by the way, everybody, let me talk about myself real quick.
Yeah,
Ooh,
that's
okay,
how it
yeah, that
came
sounds
off.
about
And
fucking right.
I checked in with another husband, and I was like, "What did you hear when he said that?" And he said, "Oh, what I heard was he's like, hey, if I'm playing with your wife and you want to play with two tough nuggets, don't distract me." And I was like, yeah, I heard the same thing. That's what it landed like for all the guys who brought
Oh.
partners. Was essentially it sounded like, okay, so if you again, you didn't bring anybody, you didn't bring it, you're not contributing here. But if you're fucking my partner, I'm not allowed to talk to her at all. That's what you're trying to say.
Well, okay, we don't know that that's what he meant. That's just what the men took away from it because when I heard that, I didn't take it that way. Like when you're just telling me now. So do you think that men heard it differently than like the women did? Because to
Oh
me, it just sounds
yeah.
like okay,
Oh yeah.
typical selfish single guy in this space is what I think.
Whatever. Okay, whatever. Okay, great. So that's what you thought. All right.
Yeah.
Do you then want to go play with that person?
No.
I don't know why they said it. I don't think they had a great night. Because I know right after that, I looked at my wife and I was like, no,
Yeah.
negative,
Yeah.
red,
Veto. Hmm.
red. And the shitty thing is like, it's someone we know. I don't have a problem with the person, but in my mind, I was like, why the fuck would you say something like that in front of everybody? It's a really weird thing. But like, look, I get your preference. Like, if I'm a person and I like to be one on one and deeply connected when I play, that makes sense. But
Hmm.
don't be an asshole about it. And like, there's this single guys.
I'm telling you. I'm
If
fucking
you're
telling you.
if you're a single guy and you are allowed to come to parties without bringing a date, you are fortunate and lucky. And I think you should shut the fuck up.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. A
Because
hundred fucking
I
percent.
wouldn't even let you come without bringing a date. I'd be
Right.
like, yo, you got to bring somebody because the rest of us are bringing people, bring their
Right.
spouses. I almost never show up without bringing a date.
Right.
If I'm gonna bring a plus, I'm gonna call Layla. Hey, Layla, come in.
Hmm.
If you came without that and you're just trying to come and like fuck whoever's there,
Hmm.
like you got to pass. You got the fucking Willy Wonka golden ticket here, dude.
Right. Yeah. Don't push it by saying
Don't
something
push it.
fucking stupid.
Don't push it. Don't get yourself kicked out, bro. Don't make an enemy of everybody in the room. at the end of the day, that's just my message to guys. Like, the E&M space is such an awesome space to be in. And if we all take care of each other, we're all going to have a great time. Don't come in and make it harder on people. And I also think single guys, like if you have the privilege to come to these parties, just let that ride. And really, I think it would look even better on you if you started bringing women with you so that you're contributing to the space and you don't just look like you're taking. I think if you're constantly taking, don't think that people don't notice. Don't think that people don't notice, and don't think that people don't see your behavior. The last thing I'll say, this is my message to single guys. I think you'd have more fun if you brought a lady friend with you.
Or spend at least half the night not playing. Spend the first half of the party talking, getting to know people. Like, just don't even play for the first half. Because when you're talking to people, you're getting people more comfortable with you, then there's a big chance that either a woman or a couple is going to be like, hey, do you want to play? And then you're good to go. Like I wonder how many people approach these single guys at parties and say, hey, I want to play, as opposed to the single guys approaching couples or women saying, hey, do you want to play?
I think that the single guys are usually doing the approaching, but you can't approach them when the play is already happening. Like that's not the right time to introduce yourself, because I'm going to be most on guard for my partner when they are nude on a bed already in the act. In fact, like one of the rules I heard recently, and like I know we're going to end this soon. One of the rules I heard recently that I would ask every play party to input in your rules when you start talking about consent is that this person, I'm not going to say their name, but when they're in their consent talk, they were even saying like if the play situation is going to change, pause the play, discuss it, and then restart the play. So he was saying like in the heat of emotions, let's say Layla, you and I are playing, you're having a great time. Some guy steps over, he's like, hey, can I put this in your mouth? Like he's asking you that in a moment when you're already like riled up and like fired up and stuff. And so this consent talk host was saying, pause, stop the play, have the discussion, then start again. And the framework he brought it into was like, for example, let's say you wanted to do anal or you wanted to take the condom off. Don't make that decision in the heat of the moment. Pause the play, have the discussion, and then proceed. And I think it's tough for single guys sometimes because they think the opposite. They think, okay, the play's happening. This is the easiest moment for me to ask. And I don't think it is. I actually think it's like you are walking a fine line, like tightrope right there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, what's interesting is that actually kind of brought something up I hadn't really thought about before. So if you and I are playing, let's say I'm in doggy or whatever, and then some guy is like, oh, like, do you want me to put this in your mouth? And I'm like, yeah, totally. Does he need to also ask you, or do I need to like turn around and be like, hey, are you cool with this guy joining? Like, how does that work?
He's supposed to ask both.
Right. Okay.
And that's what I do. Like, this happened is like, hey, okay, I saw someone I just played with. Hey, do you want something in your mouth? Hey, dude, are you cool with that?
Okay. Yeah. Easy breezy. Yeah.
Easy.
That's the way to do it.
Took 2 seconds. Not that hard.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm very good about doing that.
What I know, okay, so here's what I'll say for women. What I notice for women, especially if my wife's around, they will ask my wife. They assume I'm a yes. Which usually is the case. I'll say no if I need to say no. But usually they assume I'm a yes, and so they'll ask her.
If you guys are playing, they'll come up and talk to her.
Yeah, they'll be like, can I suck your husband's dick?
So funny. Oh my God. Okay.
And yeah. So it's a little different. We'll talk about women next. We'll talk about single women next time.
Yeah, no notes. They're perfect. Everything's fine.
I'm
No,
look at me, and I'm trying to talk about this without getting blacklisted. And more people listen to the podcast because they show up at parties and they're like, they see me in public. They're like, hey, dude, I listened to it. This is great. So I'm always careful now. I'm not going to mute myself because I'm worried about people not inviting me to a party. That's not what I'm going to do.
There's plenty of parties.
But if we have a platform, Layla, that's growing, and we have an opportunity to make people a little bit better, then we're going to use it.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe we should do a blog post. Huh?
Should we? I feel like we should bring like a new single guy that's like entering the space. Maybe he's been to a couple parties. Actually kind of have a good guy for this, that we should bring on, and we should, I don't know, either ask him some questions or kind of give him like advice or something like that. Like, I would love to pick the brain of a single guy in this space. I might get heated. So, like, I don't know. I just feel like that would be interesting because I have a lot to say. Maybe that guy
We
that
sh-
said something.
we should, and like I think we should because look, you're already getting a bad like single guys in the space already have a bad rep, right? So
Mhm.
I'm like pointing out things that I think is causing that bad rep to happen,
Yeah.
and if we can shift that and shift our behavior, then this will stop happening.
Hmm.
But like, don't think that your behavior is not being noticed. All right, so we
Hmm.
will. Yeah, I would love to talk to a single guy about it. Man, I would even have like an intervention with someone who's had questionable behavior at parties.
I have the perfect guy.
I would go right in with them and be like, what were you thinking? What were you
Hmm.
trying to accomplish? Like, how could you have done that better?
Yeah.
I'm down. You know
Okay,
me.
cool. I have a plethora of ideas of people.
Anyway,
I know.
was I too harsh with single guys today? I'm sorry, guys. Like, I'm not. No, let me not say I'm sorry. Was I too harsh with them,
You're
Layla?
literally asking the wrong person.
I just like I will challenge people to be better because you can be better. You
Hmm.
can.
I mean, the last time I went out on a date with a single guy, he lifted up my skirt.
I
Literally
know.
on the beach, sitting on the beach, lifted up my skirt and was like, "Are you wearing underwear?" And lifted it up. Within the first 10 minutes of our date, he said, "Look down here." And I looked down at his pants. There was a giant wet spot. He came in his pants in the first 10 minutes of our date. I mean, I cannot stop going on dates with these fucking miserable single guys that are like somewhat in this space. So I think that I just have a horrible taste in my mouth. I don't think all single men in this space are bad. I don't think so. Every now and then I meet someone, I'm like, "You're a precious little angel. Please don't ever leave this space because we need more men like you to show these men how to behave." So I do want to acknowledge
Exactly.
those men.
Exactly. You're making it harder on the rest of us, and that's why I'm going to be hard on you.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
about
yeah.
that?
Love it.
You're making it fucking hard on us.
Mhm.
Okay. So, um, okay. And before we wrap up, just one last thing. Because I know I was hard on the guys. I do want to take a moment to acknowledge some of the women.
Yeah, good, do it.
Okay.
Uh huh.
I saw a lot of women say no this weekend. And it was
Yay!
like mid play, someone came over and said, "Hey, can I put this in there?" And they were like, "No, not right now. No, thank you." I want to shout out even my wife for saying no. There was an opportunity where she really didn't want to play with a guy. And she said, "Hey, can I just want to watch right now." And she owned that. And it was such a
Wow.
turn on. And so I just want to acknowledge all the, not just like I will say all the people, but especially the women out there that are owning your boundaries, owning your nose. It is
Yes.
such a turn on. We still have more fun. It literally takes a split second to own your no.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
because I saw that behavior too, I want to acknowledge that
I love
also.
that. I love that for you guys. And it gets easier every time. After the first, because I know women that have been in this space for like a year or two and they've never said no to anybody ever. Ever. And I told them, I was like, after the first time you say no, you're going to feel so empowered and it's going to get easier and easier and easier.
And it's so fat. It's just like,
Yeah.
no, not right now.
And they're just like, "I don't want to hurt the other person's feelings." Fuck their feelings. This is about like they want to enter your body. They want to like fucking combine souls. Like, this is a big fucking deal. Like, say
It is.
no.
It is. I saw someone this weekend and it like the guy asked to kiss her. She's like, "Yes, I'll kiss you, but that's all I want to do."
Mm,
Great.
hot,
Perfect.
hot.
And that was his limit and he held it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for
Hmm.
taking care of yourself
That's right.
and helping us all have more fun. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Layla.
Yes, sir.
All right. We're going to end this here. Thank y'all for joining another episode with us. We're going to keep doing more one-on-ones since y'all like it is the most requested thing for Layla and I just to go back and forth one-on-one. So we'll do some more of that.
Yeah.
And then we'll do some in-studio sessions soon again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and man, we might do an intervention with someone. I'd be really excited about that.
I have some in mind.
Oh
I'll
man.
tell
All right.
you.
We'll talk after this. All right, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're loving this content. Share it with a couple friends. And until we see you next time, try something or try someone new.